Hola, termino a mirar el Guasón 2, Folie à deux. Welcome back, folks, to our weekly Pink Eye show where we talk about movies. I explore some of the things that I liked about these movies that I watched that I really enjoyed, I appreciated, and talk about some of the themes, some of these interesting aspects that I think really was well done in these films. These incredibly well crafted stories, and just overall share some of the passion, the pasión, el amor para el cine, the love of cinema that I have. And my name is Sergio Javier Valverde. I'm a Mexican filmmaker, and welcome to Pick Up Pictures. Obviously, I watched Joker, Folie Do, and I really liked it. It's let me let me put this out here because I've been seeing a lot of the takes, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. But I feel like recently with this Megalopolis and so many other films, people aren't really having conversations. They're just sort of shitting down the throats of people who are willing to listen about how terrible and how disgusting and how shitty this thing is. It's very disingenuous. I don't like that. It's very negative. It's very upsetting. Uh, because it doesn't like encourage actual communication, actual conversations surrounding films, surrounding stories, surrounding art, and that's really counterintuitive. Films, stories, art in general is not gonna be, oh, it's super good or super bad. It's only these two extremes. And I talked about it a little bit when I spoke about Megalopolis last episode, but it keeps popping up. It keeps popping up, and people seem to be. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, and it's frightening because as a filmmaker, I want people to have conversations about my films, right? And with Joker, I feel like people are either missing the point or went into it knowing they wouldn't like it because it's a musical and they don't like musicals and they don't want the Joker sequel to be a musical, or because of whatever opinion they had about the first film that they didn't like it, so they were going into the second one already not liking it. And this movie does a lot of interesting things. It plays with expectation. It plays with the audience's expectation about what Joker is, who this character is, and who ultimately Arthur Fleck is. The first film covers white male fragility, real rage, the lengths and how far people have to go in order to commit acts of extreme violence. The first film covers that pretty well. It tries to explore these themes of social services not being funded enough, not being cared about enough. It hammers home those things. And the second one, I feel, also does that to a certain extent. It follows Arthur in courtroom while they're deciding whether he's guilty or not. And throughout this movie, he meets Harley Quinn, which, let me just say, people's expectations of Harley Quinn have gotten kind of out of hand. I feel like there's a lot of people who have been TikTokified. Their only exposure has been the quirky, goofy, like, oh, look at me, Margot Robbie Harley Quinn, or the animated series. And while those are really wonderful interpretations, they are interpretations. The comic book version is not has not been the same for decades upon decades. Harley Quinn is so many different things, and this movie very specifically explores the mentally ill aspect of it a lot more deeper than any of the other interpretation. The other interpretations have always been like, oh haha, I am quirky, I am crazy, I'm gonna hurt someone. And this one just genuinely feels terrifying. Lady Gaga, of course, is phenomenal. Joaquin is phenomenal. Absolutely every performance in this film is it's just it's fucking fantastic. But Lady Gaga in particular plays a very subdued, very sinister version of Harley Quinn. Let me search it up. Harley Quinn. It Harley Quinn is supposed to represent uh a whatchamacallit. Harley Quinn is supposed to dude, I'm shooting this late at night. I'm losing my mind. But the Harley Quinn is supposed to represent, mm, mm, I forget the right word, but it's rich poor relations. It's very much supposed to play into, you know, rich people seeing poor people as entertainment, which later on in the movie we do find out some things about Harley Quinn in this one that cements that idea. The rich seeing the poor as playthings, the privileged and the underprivileged, and how so many people kind of utilize these icons, these figures, these, what the first film kind of unintentionally did, making Joker this like chaotic demon god thing that is worshipped and treated in such a messianic manner. This one kind of turns it around you and says, no, this is someone who is troubled. This is someone who hurt people. This is not a good person. This is not someone to admire, to trivialize their actions. Even if the people that were hurt weren't the greatest, he took that life away. He took those lives away who maybe could have turned their lives around, could have been better people. So he took that chance away. And this film, in a way, is a reaction to the first film's reception, and ultimately becomes the audience taking Arthur's chance away. The audience wants Arthur to break. The audience wants Joker. They don't want Arthur. They don't care about the story. They don't care about the fact that the themes of this film. They want to see Joker stab someone to death. They want to see Joker laugh and beat the fuck out of someone. That's who they want. And this obsession with interpretation, of only accepting one type of version of every single comic book character, every single, franchise character. There is no room for people to explore. There's no room anymore for people to try and experiment, and maybe sometimes fail. Sometimes it's not so good. Sometimes it's pretty great. But people are no longer allowing themselves to experiment, to explore uncomfortable situations, so explore that uncomfortability of not knowing what's coming. And I think people wanted a really cookie cutter film that, Marvel has continued to successfully do and continue to tell that type of story. And it comes out at such an interesting time. Because I don't know, it's such a, I genuinely think this is better than the first film. Joker Folia Do is so much better than the first film. And I love the first film. I fucking have it on on Steelbook, dude. I love this film. I watched it so many times, and I'm probably gonna watch Folia Do so many more times, because it brought me a sense of fulfillment. But it is a depressing film. It's not a happy ending. It was never going to be a happy ending. Arthur needed help. And everyone around him throughout the movie is committed to not getting him that help, or making it even worse. And this film touches on police brutality as well, on the disgusting nature of the police state that enforces and punishes people, and the abhorrent prison system, and how it's not a system that is served as rehabilitation, as a way for people to get better, as a way for people to atone for their mistakes, for a chance to re-enter society as a hopefully better person. This film puts that out there extremely hard. It's a very uncomfortable film, even more so than the first one, because the first one, you played into this fantasy of Joker. of this guy who's fed up, who's like, enough with society. I'm gonna beat the fuck out of everyone. I'm gonna stab you. I'm gonna stab you. And the first one plays into that fantasy, and the second one dispels that fantasy and shows you who you really are. Because if you come out of this film disappointed that Joker didn't kill anyone, that's weird. That's really strange. And of course, this movie's not going to be for everyone. People are just going to be dickheads online. Like, I really respect and admire Todd Phillips and everyone who was part of this production, because this is such a bold and daring and experimental fucking film. And for a property that is supposed to be in the DC comic book world, multiverse, yada yada. So it's extremely bold, extremely daring to tell this story, to go against the narrative, to go do something that no one expects, and just fucking knock it out of the park. The fact that people are reacting so vehemently, so negatively, goes to show that people weren't ready for this type of film. People don't deserve this type of film. People don't deserve fucking good movies anymore. Like, we're talking about studios who are running these franchises into the ground, who are now deciding, hey, we're gonna have a test group screen thingy for super fans, for people who are like super into DC or super into Marvel or any of these other franchises, and put them in a room together and show them like, hey, look at this script, are people gonna like it? And you're gonna listen to those people, the same ones who are putting fucking like these shitty theories online, these like really terrible like story ideas of like, oh my god, Iron Man, he's gonna, or Doctor Doom is gonna show his face to Peter, and Peter's gonna be like, it's like, these, what happened? What is going on? That's the worst idea anyone's ever had. Like, it's like, it doesn't even matter. Like, people are gonna like say, oh, people listen to Sonic, the Sonic redesign, and that's because it was genuinely a bad design. But there's no longer gonna be films in at least the franchise space that allows experimentation, that allows bold and daring decisions that the audience isn't going to expect or at first be welcome, because people don't know what they want. Not really. It's our job as artists to give the people what they want. Not what they want, but what they deserve. People have become so goddamn entitled. It's ridiculous. People are becoming entitled to celebrities' fucking attention, to every movie catering to their specific tastes, every film not varying, not trying to do anything new. Honestly, fuck it, like, you want cookie cutter shit, you want to just see and listen and experience these films and not feel a single thing, then fuck it. You don't deserve good films, and it's such a frustrating element. And I think Joker Folia Do is one of these like last films in the comic book space that is really going to challenge the environment, in the same manner that the first one did, in the same manner that Matt Reeves' Batman has. It's an important film. It's incredibly bold and daring to have Warner Brothers go to you and be like, please make another one. This made $1 billion for us. We want another $1 billion. And just say, okay, go fuck yourself. We're gonna make it, but go fuck yourself. And this film is just a beautiful fucking thesis. There's an incredible amount of layers and depth that I'm really interested in getting into a bit further, but that's gonna require a couple more rewatches. But moving on, I want to talk about The Wild Robot. The Wild Robot. When I tell you The Wild Robot is one of those movies that's going to stick with you. Wild Robot is going to stick with you. It's going to hit you where it hurts, and it's just going to make you fucking sob. Unless you're Inhuman, of course. Now, The Wild Robot, at first glance, I was worried. I was worried that it was not going to be what I wanted, which is funny to say because I was just talking about, blah, 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 blah. Because from the first trailer, it's looked like it was gonna be a silent film, and I was really excited for that. I was like, holy shit, a fucking animated silent film, dude! That's a dream come true. I I dug that idea so much, and the first trailer really conveyed these emotional points, these emotional themes, and like the music was perfect. The trailer and editing was beautiful. There's no dialogue whatsoever, and it just like overwhelmed me. And that first trailer genuinely made me want to cry. And then subsequent trailers came out, and then animals started talking. I was like, oh, it's gonna be an animal talking movie. Okay. Other than that, this is a phenomenal film. Like those expectations, this thoughts that I had were completely fucking thrown out the window the minute I stepped into this film, because it's just phenomenal. The beautiful artistry that each frame is composed. It has a beautiful art style, of course. I'm so happy that animations are now experimenting as well in its approach to its visual components, just trying new things. And of course, it does a little bit of what like the Puss in Boots movie did, and TMNT a little bit did. Spider-Verse, of course. So it's these very abstract, very stylistic choices and designs that I'm really excited for. And the wild robot tugged the fuck out of my heartstrings. I sat there crying endlessly. I was incredibly just worn out emotionally, because it does approach these themes of found family. It's the found family trope, right? It's, oh, we're not the same species, or we don't look the same, and yada yada, but we're family, we're together. And that is something that I really appreciated. It uses these tropes, but it does so in an innovative manner, especially in the found family part, because it's a robot. It's a robot that's not designed for parenthood. It's a robot that just accidentally murdered a bird's family, and then kind of took that bird baby into its own and was like, oh, I guess this is my child now. The circumstances are ridiculous, but it's incredibly entertaining, incredibly fulfilling to experience. This film just, it breaks you. It, because this is a tough movie to talk about, because it touches on parts of family that I feel, that I kind of struggle with. Having a mother that loves you, having a parent that is gonna be there for you no matter what, that like, even if you get mad at them, so I feel there's a lot of parallels there personally, and it reminds me a lot of a lot of personal things that I'm not gonna get into, but it to let me touch on another aspect that I found that I was really fascinated by. But this idea that humanity does a lot of fucked up shit. Humanity is corrupt. Humanity is trouble. We are, in essence, massive balls of tangled webs. We don't make sense. We shouldn't exist, but we do, and we're somehow here, and yet we manage to kill each other. We manage to figure out how to hurt one another. And there's this thing inside of our heads that is like configured in such a specific manner to keep us going, to keep us alive, to keep us breathing. And that also manages to contort your own perspective of yourself, your own ideas, your own, these things. And then there are people who are incredibly selfish, incredibly insane, incredibly hurtful, incredibly evil, and we manage to somehow target groups of people who are configured in a different way, who aren't really trying to hurt anybody, but they are just they work different. And then our biology is just incredibly complex. It's incredibly diverse. It's like small variations of infinite possibilities. We are beautiful. We are an amazing species. We are fucking fantastic. And yet we managed to figure out how to kill each other. And this film gave me a little bit of hope that maybe, despite our fuck ups, despite our horrendous nature towards each other, towards nature, towards our environment, towards this world that we're supposed to co-inhabitate with the animals, that maybe we can create something that is capable of that, whose directive is to be kind, is to not hurt. Because that's a major piece of this film. The wild robot cannot hurt people. Well, not people, but it cannot hurt in general. It is not in its directive, but its directive is kindness, giving living beings a chance. It's giving itself a chance. And I found that to be such a beautiful part of the film, and it filled me with so much hope that maybe we can create something that is guided by kindness first, that it isn't confused by these fucked up thoughts, these ideas that we have inside of our heads that keep rambling around, like that entice us towards becoming more selfish, more self-conceited, more focused on nothing but, power, influence, fame, these things. If we can create something beautiful that its main focus is to be kind, to not hurt anything or anyone, and to help as best as they can, it gives me a little bit of hope that we can be that too. That's what this film ultimately is for me. It's hope. It's an incredibly beautiful perspective on hope. There's so many moments that it brought me to tears. It made me incredibly sad. We could be that, we could aspire to these things. We can aspire to be, to not feel like we're owed something by the world, that we're not owed something by the nature we're surrounded in, or the animals that guide us, that keep us company. We're not owed these things. And humanity has found a way to insert itself at the very top, to feel as if we are the most important thing amongst this tiny blue dot, amongst trillions, zillions, however many illions of planets there are, with probably other life forms. A beautiful, thought-provoking picture that just moves you. It just surrounds you in its beauty, in its love and appreciation for life and the things that exist around us. These animals, these woods, these waters, this world that we share. I adore that movie so much. I'm really tired, so I'm thinking about move on to the next one. A Different Man. This is a bit of a change of pace. I've been really interested in, because it's a very oh my god, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna cut out all these burps, so you're just gonna hear me talk about burps, but I'm burping a lot. But A Different Man is a very how do I talk about this? Because obviously this film is very much about self-accept, loving yourself. What matters is what's on the inside, and how you take care of yourself, and these it's very much like a self-love type of movie, but it uses its characters, its premise of this guy is disfigured. He has a condition that makes lumps on his face, and suddenly he's undergoing a treatment that cures it, and his face comes off, and he's beautiful. He's Sebastian Stan. We explored that really intense self-hatred through Sebastian Stan's character, and then we see the complete opposite with I'm blanking on his name, but Adam Pearson's character, who's just phenomenal, who is self-accepting, who loves himself, who is just genuinely a pretty good guy. There's nothing really wrong with him, but we see this journey, these two opposite ends of absolute self-hatred, self-loathing, and self-acceptance, radical self-love, and we see this back and forth, which isn't really a back and forth. It's just Adam Pearson's character being nice and pretty chill, and then Sebastian Stan being incredibly miserable and trying to figure out, oh, I look like that. Why didn't people talk to me like that? Why didn't people treat me like that? And it's this like oppression. I'm getting somewhere. I'm getting somewhere. It's when people are faced with hatred, with oppression, with prejudice, and then they see someone who's exactly like them not face that, there is a sense of jealousy there that begins to form, a sense of resentment of, I went through this. I fucking went through this. Why the fuck aren't you going through it? Ultimately, this is what that film is. This is what A Different Man challenges you to think about. It approaches that topic, that subject. Shouldn't we be happy that someone who, who's also an immigrant, who's also, a minority, a marginalized, part of a marginalized minority and community, shouldn't we be happy that they haven't faced the same prejudice that you had? Why the fuck do they get to have a nice ride? You know, I didn't get to go through that. It's the same talking points as, oh, I paid my student loans. Why the fuck should anyone else get theirs paid off? Oh, I paid my debt. Why should your debt be canceled? Why is this immediate jealousy, this immediate resentment? Yeah, it fucking sucks. It sucks so much to be faced with hatred, to be faced with prejudice, to have people approach you with such disgusting intent, and then to turn around and then get mad and hate someone who's in the same, space as you, but not face that same prejudice. Why is our immediate reaction jealousy? Obviously, of course, it's like the selfishness of, and the weird prideful nature of people when it comes to suffering. People are proud that they suffered. People are proud, oh, my father beat me, so I'm gonna beat you, son. Or, oh, my dad beat me, why doesn't your dad beat me? Fuck you. And you start to bully the kid, right? Because they have loving parents. So it's this self-hatred that leads you towards hating others, causing rifts, causing drama, causing, fights, and then this nature and this self-destructive force. And A Different Man really approaches these themes, these subjects, in such an existential, terrifying manner. It's supposed to be a dark comedy. There are such moments in this film where Sebastian Stan's character is ripping his face off, and it is incredibly harrowing. It reminds me very much of The Substance, which these films, they do kind of feel line in line with the body image, the self-image, self-perception of yourself, and those similar themes, but it plays with that body horror aspect so brilliantly, so uncomfortable. Uses the condition that, the lumps on your face grow in such a way that was incredibly interesting. Obviously, when you make these types of films, when you involve people with disabilities, it can very, very dangerously fall into the line of, oh, are we, making fun of this? Are we treating this with respect? And I think this movie, it really does a really good job in the respect aspect. Because, of course, Adam Pearson, I believe, is a really integral part of the production. So I imagine he had a lot of input, of course. But it also plays with this idea of actors portraying people with disabilities, especially when there are people especially when there are actors with those disabilities, right? It reminds me of Elephant Man, where, it's the same type of condition, I believe, with the lumps on your face, but it's someone playing that character with prosthetics, and it's very odd. It's very odd because I feel like there's probably actors out there with that same condition, and we see these people get passed up by Sebastian Stan, who, even though he did have this condition, is now a beautiful man. So it does talk about that trope, that challenge a bit, and the selfishness in actors, and sort of, and just the ego of artists to want to tell these type of stories, but not looking for the right people to tell them, but wanting to be the one that gets the glory. That, oh, look at me, aren't I such a good guy for giving a person of disability a role, because I wrote my script around this disability. It's a very tricky nature to fall into, and this film is like a it's like it's a very layered metatextual film that does talk about this, like the ego in the film business, to tell these stories of prejudice but not give proper respect, not approach it in the right, correct manner, eventually feel like, oh, we are morally superior, yada yada, because we are the ones who did this. So it does a lot of that, which I really found interesting. It has that metatextual context, especially in the ego of the director, the ego of the writer, of like, I know this character. Oh, I know better. I'm writing this story and using this pain, suffering, and prejudice that other people face for your own gain. So it does a brilliant, really, really brilliant job on doing that. And Different Man is just a really beautiful fucking film. It is a movie about radical self hatred, and then the absolute opposite end of radical self acceptance. The movie ends with a very harrowing line: "You haven't changed one bit, have you?" It was something along those lines. I don't think it was verbatim. It was something along those lines with a British accent. Living your whole life without changing once, with remaining the same miserable person. That's not a life worth living. That's a depressing life. And that film ends with that line. And this is not a guy who grows, who's grown at all. He still hates himself. He's old, he's grayed, he's tired. He still hates himself. But he has a really big penis. And I think I'm gonna leave it at that. All right, folks. My name is Sergio Javier Valverde. This has been the Weekly Pink Eye Show. Um, Please like and subscribe and stuff. I'm actually not kidding. We see his dick in this film. It caught me off guard. I was like, whoa. I was like, obviously, jokes aside, this is a very serious film. It approaches such a important topic in such a poignant and very frightful manner, but it treats it with respect. It treats people with these disabilities with respect, because they are people too, you know. And it's not gonna be a movie where, I don't know. I gotta end this episode. I think it's been going on for way too long. But go watch these movies. Think for yourself. Don't take my opinions. Enjoy movies more than you hate them. Hating things is so easy. It's so common. It's so trendy. Be radical. Be different. Love with passion. Love cinema. Love these films, because I do. These are fantastic fucking films. Keep encouraging, keep supporting these types of films, because these are important. These are movies that should be made, that should be seen by as many people as possible. These are incredible pictures, and people need to, shut the fuck up. People don't know what they want, and the internet is gonna be the internet. And so, love what you love, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So, Thanks for watching. I'm so tired.